While I've reviewed hundreds of statues on this channel, I've never reviewed my first piece I ever bought from XM Studios. So today, we're going to do that. It's Ghostrider, by the way, if you didn't figure that out. Welcome to the Extreme Channel. My name is Mr. X. Today we have another very high-end collectible, an older one, and when I say older, a couple years old. This is by XM Studios. This is their 1/4 scale Ghostrider piece. And I'm really excited to throw him on the review table. One of the reasons I never have is he is just a heavy selling bitch and I don't like to move him. But if you followed the channel for a while, I can move over here now, you know that I have a custom Ghostrider on bike also coming. So we're going to do a comparison video between those two, also an individual review on that, but I figured we might as well do an individual review on this amazing piece as well. This is often touted as one of XM Studios' best pieces. It was also one of their earlier pieces, which is why it was incredibly cheap. It was only 990 Singapore dollars plus shipping, which equivocates to about 750 US dollars. But nowadays, this goes for more than twice that. They made 1,000 of these, and if you're not sure who Ghostrider is, this is a weird review for you to watch. But I just kind of wanted to see what would happen there. Now, if you're not sure who Ghostrider is, I would recommend two things. First, go to this thing called Google. Second, check out this previous review I did on another Ghostrider statue. It's a custom Ghostrider without a bike. And another reason I wanted to review this piece is during that review, I said I think he may be better than XM Studios Ghostrider. So today we're going to find out in an extreme review. But before we start that review, we're giving away a statue to you guys. We are going to hit 20,000 subscribers in 2020. To do that, we're giving away a statue every 2,500 subs. At 15,000 subs, the winner will get to choose between these two PCS Mortal Kombat statues. Make sure that you've liked this video, you've subscribed to the channel, and you've hit that bell notification. Then stay tuned towards the end of this video to find out how to enter. So let's start off with concept with this piece. And right now, I can tell you starting, the concept is amazing. This really put XM Studios on the map, in my opinion. You know, Ghostrider isn't a super popular character, believe it or not. And it didn't help that the MCU really screwed it up with those two movies that really, let's be honest, weren't the best. But the concept of this piece really captures everything about Ghostrider. Let's check it out. So you start out with this fiery hell-like base. And what I mean by that, it's not your typical street that you see Ghostrider going up and down. There are some street pieces in the fire that you presumably, I'm not sure where they came from because the base itself has these skulls on it and almost this lava-like effect. Makes you think of hell or something of that nature. And this was one of the first statues, to my knowledge, of that time that really incorporated a ton of fire. And when you have fire, we'll talk more about it in paint and sculpt, you can either go transparent resin or translucent resin or fully sculpted rock and painted like this. But I think they did it very good on here, and we'll talk more about that later. And then you have Ghostrider himself, and not only is he on his motorcycle with his wheels completely made of fire, but the motorcycle, he's popping a wheelie. How cool is that? He's popping a wheelie, and he's sitting there screaming while he's driving his motorcycle. He has this classic chain and spear that is also on fire, decked out in his normal biker clothes, and this is just amazing. One thing about this we're really going to get into in design, the dynamics of this or the engineering is simply awesome. And I think that does tie into the concept as well. But I think they did a great job showcasing his bike, showcasing his power, showcasing the character himself. I absolutely love this. This is one of the best concepts you can think of for Ghostrider. And the custom Ghostrider on bike I'm getting is very similar because that's what you want out of a Ghostrider. But overall, I give the concept a 5 out of 5 on the extreme scale. This is, like I said, absolutely what you want with him. I talked about during my other custom Ghostrider without the bike, how he's still really cool without the bike, but let's be honest, he needs the bike. Now design, tons of crazy stuff going on. I unboxed this a long time ago, but I do remember all of these fire shards lock in via key. And I think, yeah, it was color-coded as well. Sometimes I actually take these out when I move this piece because this is an extremely heavy piece. Minimum of 40, if not up to 60 pounds. And it's kind of awkward because all the weight is on this base that is actually smaller than you think. all these fire pieces tie into it. Let's actually get the dimensions of this huge piece while we're talking about it. So if you call this the width, I'm going to say it's about 33.5 inches. The highest point is his spear right here, which is just over 22 inches. His head is about 19. And then you could call this the depth. It depends which way you display it. But you're probably looking at about 13 or 14 inches, depending on some of the flames. I do remember during assembly, putting the chain in was kind of a pain in the butt. It's 3 or 4 different pieces. Also, his handlebars are actually connected to his hand, if I recall correctly, and then you put them on the bike. So putting it together, while it wasn't incredibly difficult, it's not an easy statue to put together, especially with all the weight. You know, these have been out for a number of years, and there's no leaning or engineering issues, so I really appreciate that. I think your biggest disadvantages to this piece have to do with the weight, how much footprint it takes up, and an argument we'll never know. Would this have been better with translucent resin for all this fire effect? Otherwise, it's fantastic. Another really cool thing about this is traditionally a statue like this, XM Studios puts the edition size on the bottom, and I can't remember if it's on there or not, but I do remember they put it on the license plate as well. So that's pretty cool. This is number 301 out of 999 of these. Just kind of a cool little Easter egg. So design, I give them a lot of props for engineering. I give them a huge thumbs up for making it all flow very well. One thing I don't understand, like I said, I don't understand the rock pieces in the flame because they don't look like they came from the base. So while I don't think it's a perfect design, it's a 4 out of 5 because there are some incredible things in here that haven't been done before, and it works really, really well with Ghostrider. Now, while I don't think the paint and sculpt on this is as good as some of the other XM pieces, especially some of the newer pieces that are coming out, it's still very good. Let's take a look. So first, let's start on the base. Like I said, it's kind of this hellish effect. It almost looks like lava that's mixed in with this dark charcoal base. There's reds and oranges and yellows and blacks and browns. And then not only does it have that, but it has these skulls. And I think that just kind of adds to the character, tells a little bit more of the story, but they look good. And it's very similar on both sides while they're in different places. It kind of tells the same exact story. Although I don't know why you'd want to display it from this side, it's not as good, but some people may. Now another thing on this base before we get to the fire are those rocks that we talked about. This is probably the weakest part of the statue in regards to paint and sculpt. They kind of look like very matte finishes. There's no texture on these rocks at all. I think, a good stone would have more coloring on it. Let me move around to the other side to give some more. I like the placement of them, and I think it helps tell the story, but since they don't match the actual base, I question that a little bit. Now, looking at the fire, what I really like about this is the mix of the colors, the oranges and yellows and reds, more orange and yellow throughout. So if you're gonna paint polystone fire, I think they did the best that you could possibly do. It really kind of tells a story. It has a flow to it that I think is not only done well by the sculpt, but the color. And then even when you get to the wheel, a lot more orange in here. And I like how it's this spindle kind of moving out. Very, very cool. And you'll see that the same on the back wheel, but it's kind of condensed a little bit more. A little more reds in there. But the fire is pretty impressive, actually. Then looking at the bike, also very impressive. It looks like a real motorcycle. There could have been some more detail in the engine area. The engine itself looks good, but you don't see a lot of the other things you would see with a motorcycle, a lot of the other moving parts, whether it's shocks or I don't even know if there's a ignition or gear shift, but here the exhaust pipes look okay. They could have done a little bit better, especially on the end here. It'd be cool if those were shooting out fire or something of that nature. Not a huge fan of that part. So the motorcycle, there are parts of it that are done really well. I like the sleek paint on it. I like the wheel cover here, how it kind of has this burnt hue to it of this chrome/orange paint, which you don't have on the front, obviously. But I do like, the fact that it's a mystical motorcycle, so you're not going to see a speed gauge or turn signal, obviously, or anything of that nature. Looks very cool. His chair that he's sitting on does appear to be cushioned. It's a sculpted cushion, obviously. He's actually removable, if I remember correctly. I really like the Ghostrider skull up here of this animal. It's done really well, the paint, the sculpt, and I think it really adds to the statue overall. Regarding Ghostrider, his boots right here, very, very cool. There could have been some more micro detail, I think, in the sculpt. It looks a little too clean to me. Granted, he's mystical. The buckles are a little too big. There's some good texture on the boot. And then moving up, he's got these spikes coming out of the top of the boots, almost like a strap running around there. There's some cool folds of the pants. Seam line running up the middle, classic biker pants. His jacket is done really well, a lot better than his pants though. See some more texture in there, even the detail on the zippers here. And there's a little bit of shadowing in the jacket. Some almost looks like it's some orange faded color to reflect the flames, which is cool. The chain looks okay. It looks a little cheap. It is plastic, obviously. You wouldn't want a real metal chain on this. So paint job could have been a little better to make it more realistic. And then you have his portrait. From the side profile, I really like it. The skull looks good. Could have used a little more coloring in it. I like how the flames are flowing back like he is racing his bike. I'm not a huge fan of the eyes. They look painted in there. I think that could have been done better. The fact that you can't see anything, in his mouth, you can actually put your finger all the way in it. So I'm sure there's a "that's what she said" joke in there. But overall, so a lot of pros and cons, but like I said, the concept alone really gives this piece a lot of presence and makes it amazing. So with the fire, it does look a little bit fake, but I don't know how they could have done it better when you include the paint and sculpt together. So that would be my one big criticism about the paint. But overall, I think the paint on this is a 3 out of 5. It's close to a 4, but anytime I'm in between two categories, I always downgrade it 1. So paint is good on this. The sculpt, however, I would definitely give it a 4 out of 5. I think when you look at some of the micro details, whether it's on the bike or his suit, or how the fire is flowing in so many different directions, I give them a little bit more props for that, a 4 out of 5. And again, I think both of those are somewhere between a 3 and a 4 on the actual extreme scale. We're not going to talk about value. I already kind of told you the price. Shipping is a little bit expensive on this, usually a couple $100 if you're shipping it internationally when the Cuchimandra virus is not going on. But it's just a fantastic piece. I don't really think I have a need to keep this and the new custom one that I have coming, so after the Extrumble, we may sell one. At this time, do not message me asking if you can buy this. I will not respond because I'm not ready to sell it yet. Does this statue have the X Factor? And as a reminder, the X Factor is not a cumulative score. It's, does this statue have the head turn effect? Does the statue look amazing? Is this an X statue? Look at it. This is an X statue. This is a 5 out of 5. This is why I went almost all in with XM Studios. It was so cool to have this be my actual first piece because it just blew me away. I still remember unboxing this, and with the hundreds of statues I've unboxed, I honestly don't remember a lot of them, the actual unboxing presents and where I put it initially, but this one I definitely remember. So the really unique thing about this is while I think Ghostrider is cool, I'm not a huge fan of him, not a huge fan of him in the comics or the movies. I know he does have a cult following, but I love this statue. So let me know in the comments someone who you're not really tied to the character, but you love a specific statue of them. And the reason I ask you to comment is it'll help you win that surprise statue giveaway. To win one of these Mortal Kombat statues, all you have to do is comment on a video. At 15,000 subscribers, I'm going to pick a random video and pick a random comment. That person will win the prize. They can choose between these two pieces. Also, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. One of the things I love about looking at these older pieces is I re-fall in love with them again when I haven't given them a close look in a couple years. But make sure to check out some of these other pieces by XM Studios in the playlist. And if you haven't subscribed, hit that Mr. X logo, that bell notification, so you get notifications when stuff like this hits the table, especially that new custom one. Until tomorrow, take care.